Hello everyone, and welcome to Capitol Watch, our look at the Missouri General Assembly and the issues that body is considering regarding public education here in Missouri. And joining us to discuss those issues is our Associate Executive Director for Advocacy and our Chief Lobbyist, Mike Reed. And Mike, as we are recording this program, we're at roughly the halfway point of the General Assembly. They're in spring break at this point. How would you assess the session so far?
Yes, spring break has started, and it is a strange session. It is a lot of things have gotten started very quickly and then slowed down. The Senate had the interesting situation with the long filibuster and the PQ and the then freezing down of the Senate. The House has continued to pass pieces of legislation. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they come back from spring break to see if the Senate then starts moving all of these House bills that have been piling up on their calendar. Just a very strange session this year. Hopefully everyone will start to work together very closely and move what's good for the people in the state of Missouri, but we'll see what happens.
Of course, Mike, funding is always an issue we're concerned about. The state appropriations for our public schools, especially through the foundation formula. We've had some action on the House side on that. So where do we stand and what's the outlook in the Senate?
The House has passed its bills. There is an increased funding for public education and increased in the foundation formula. The Senate will be working on that for the next month. Hopefully the Senate will put in more money for public education. Right now we have approximately $70 million, give or take, for public education, an increase in the formula, $5 million for transportation. Hopefully that figure gets a little bit higher, closer to the governor's recommendation of $85 million. But this is a tight budget year. There will be a tax decrease starting in 2017. There'll be a tax cut. So money will be becoming very scarce. So we'll be very happy to get what we get. Hopefully we can keep improving on that amount of money that the House has given in their budget.
And related to that, Mike, there have been some bills under consideration that would change what's called the adequacy target in the foundation formula. In other words, the amount of per pupil spending the state says is adequate to properly fund schools. And tell us about that and where that stands now.
That's correct. In the past, when the foundation formula was adopted in 2005, there was a 5% growth cap on the adequacy target. After the passage of gaming, some gaming taking off the limits on casino gambling, that 5% cap was also taken off. That's what's caused the adequacy target to keep going up. And again, now we are underfunded by approximately $400 to $500 million. There are a couple of bills that are put the adequacy target back, the 5% cap on the adequacy target back on. That happens, then the underfunding will come down to about $140 million. So it reduces the amount of growth of the adequacy target and brings down the target amount that we need to a smaller number. The governor has stated that he does not like this. The General Assembly has passed that bill past the Senate. So we'll see what happens, but that is what it is. It would be reestablishing the 5% cap on the adequacy target.
And Mike, we've had a kind of a first in the General Assembly in recent days, an attempt to override withholdings by the governor. And in the past, the General Assembly has not had the authority to do that, but now it does, and it's attempting to do so, affecting some education programs. Tell us about that issue.
Yes, the Senate overrode the governor's withhold on money for Scholars Academy and the Brain Injury Fund. The governor is required by statute or by the Constitution to have a balanced budget. During the year, the governor will withhold certain amounts of money to make sure the budget is balanced. Governor is claiming that he needs to do that because of the rise of Medicare costs. The General Assembly says that's not the case, and he needs to be spending that money now. And so they have directed the governor, the House has, and I believe that and the Senate will also then try to override this withhold. and we'll see what happens, because I think after that it probably goes to court. The question is what is the power of the General Assembly over the purse, and what is the power of the governor over the purse? It's an interesting constitutional question, but the people have said that the legislature has the right to override the governor's withholds. So we'll see how that works out. But it is a first, and if it works, then I think we'll see a lot of push to override the governor's withholds on various pieces.
So, Mike, when the legislature comes back from spring break, they'll be heading into the final weeks of the session, heading for an adjournment in May. What are some of the issues we can look for during the final weeks of the General Assembly?
Well, I think the first thing we'll look for is the budget in the Senate. The Senate will come back and be working on the budget for the next 2 or 3 weeks, which will take us to the end of April. We'll also be looking at the 5% cap. We'll be looking at the bullying bill as it has passed the House. We'll be looking to see whether or not the 5% cap stays on and goes back through the House and the Senate. We'll be looking at bills dealing with parental guidance for students, as well as the civics education bill. So a number of bills are out there. The dyslexia bill is out, should be working through the House. So there are numerous pieces of legislation that affect Missouri schools, and we'll be watching all of them.
And of course, Mike, it continues to be important for school board members around the state to stay in contact with legislators during these final weeks, isn't it?
It is. We have our SBAN meetings, plus all of our information keeps coming to our members every Friday with Legislative Voice. It's extremely imperative that our members talk to their state representatives and senators and tell them how their actions in Jefferson City affect the lives of students in the state of Missouri.
All right, Mike Reed, thanks a lot for being with us, and we thank you for joining us on this edition of MSBA's Capitol Watch.